The Detroit Pistons win again, taking care of the Washington Wizards. They are now in an absolute dogfight with the Bucks, Pacers for that 4th through 6th seed, and we'll break it all down, break down this win and their place in the standings. Today's episode, Locked On Pistons Podcast. Let's go.
You are Locked On Pistons, your daily Detroit Pistons podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's the deal? Welcome back to another episode of the Locked On Pistons podcast. Per usual, I'm your host, Koo Cahill. You can find me over on Twitter at Koo Cahill. I want to thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We're free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. I'll link down below the Substack where I just wrote about a real in-depth breakdown on how good Tobias Harris has been for the Detroit Pistons. Some of the numbers that we dig into in the article really will blow your mind away, so definitely check that out down below. Also, if you want to watch Pistons game with us, every single Pistons game, I'll link the playback room down below for you guys as well to come join us. And also, real quickly before we get into the episode, I've had a few of you guys say that my audio has not been loud enough, so I've turned my audio up just slightly here for this episode. So if you're listening or you're watching, please hit me up on Twitter at Koo Cahill or in the comment section. Let me know if the audio is good enough for you, if it sounds right. I've been trying to mess with it a little bit and try to raise it to where it's not too loud, but louder than usual. So just let me know if this is good enough, if this sounds good for you guys. But let's get into it. Today's episode, I want to talk about Ausar's struggles. He hasn't been his best self for the last few games. I want to talk about why I think that is. Cade Cunningham, I want to talk about how great he is. I mean, this is a special place Pistons fans find themselves in. Had a really good game tonight against the Wizards, and that's where we're going to go to now. The Pistons defeat the Washington Wizards in this game by 20. I actually want to spend more time. We'll break down the game just a little bit, talk about the score and what happened. But really, I want to spend more time talking about the standings and the impact this win has on the standings. But the Pistons won 123-103 against Washington. They play them again in 2 days. So that should be an easy win for the Pistons again. This should be 2 back-to-back easy wins. Pistons should be on a 3-game win streak, which really helps them. In this game, like I said, we'll talk about Cade a little later, but he had 27 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds. Jalen Duren had a very good game again, 15 points, 13 rebounds, 2 blocks. Outside of that, no one else really wowed in this game. Malik had 14 points with 4 threes, but it wasn't really a wow game from anybody. The Wizards obviously are not very good, but the Pistons handled business and got the job done. It did get a little close there at the beginning of the fourth. The Wizards cut it to a 9-point game, and then the Pistons stepped on the gas, put the starters back in, got back up by 20. So nothing really too crazy to talk about within this game itself. But what's more important is what's going on in the standings right now. This is an absolute dogfight going on between the Pistons, the Pacers, and the Bucks. And if you're wondering, if you're watching this on YouTube, and you're wondering why did the episodes come out so much later, I'm probably posting this an hour later than I usually post the episodes. If you're asking why, it's because I stayed up to watch the Indiana Pacers versus Milwaukee Bucks game. Because this game had a huge impact on the Detroit Pistons. Now, I'm looking at the standings right now. NBA.com has not updated the standings yet based on the results of the Pacers-Bucks game. So I want to give you guys an idea of what it was looking like before this game finished and why this game was so important for the Pistons. Before that game finished, with the Pistons win, they moved up the 5th seed. Indiana fell down to the 6th. They were a half game behind the Pistons, and the Bucks were a half game ahead of the Pistons. So within that 4 to 6 range, there's only one game difference between the 4th seed and the 6th seed. And Milwaukee and Indiana playing against each other is a 1 full game. So the Pacers losing that game could get the Pistons a full game lead on Indiana and have them in secure place for the 5th seed. If I'm understanding this correctly, because they have not updated the standings yet. But if I'm understanding this correctly, because the Pacers beat Milwaukee with an insane shot from Hallie at the end of this game. I don't know if you guys watched this game, but an insane shot from Halliburton to wrap this game up. And they gave him an and one. I thought that foul was I didn't like the foul call, but it was a crazy shot nonetheless. Won them the game. I believe how this works now. I think Indiana is going to be at 4 now and a half a game ahead of the Pistons. I think Pistons are going to be at the 5th seed. I believe Milwaukee now will fall to the 6th. I believe that's what's going to happen now. I believe the Pistons will be in the 5th seed with 37 wins. Indiana will move a full game above Milwaukee and a half a game above Detroit. And now Milwaukee will be a half game behind Detroit. I believe that's how it's going to work. Again, the standings haven't updated yet. I don't know all the tiebreakers. But if my math is correct, that's what it's going to look like now. And the other great thing about this for the Pistons is that Milwaukee and Indiana play each other again. They're going to end up playing each other again. Now, at the end of the Pistons season, they have to play the Bucks as well. Indiana and Milwaukee, they're going to play again on Saturday, which is another big-time game for them. But the Pistons are going to wrap up their season playing the Milwaukee Bucks. So that game could be very important for the Pistons as well. Very important. But this fight right here for the 4 through 60 for that home court advantage, it looks like it's going to come down to the wire. I mean, these teams, no one can get any kind of separation. The Pacers and the Bucks lost a few games over the weekend. The Pistons weren't able to take advantage of it, lost to both the Clippers and the Warriors. This is going to be an absolute dogfight. And it really, I don't know where Pistons fans would like to see the Pistons end up. If you end up at the 6th seed, you're going to be going against the New York Knicks. Do you guys like the matchup against the Knicks? Maybe. I see a lot of Pistons fans wanting that matchup, thinking Cade can outplay Jalen Brunson. I get it. The question is, though, for me, how I'm looking at it, I think the Pistons need to do whatever they can to avoid the Bucks in the first round. I do not think the Pistons want the Milwaukee Bucks in the first round. So if getting up to 4 means Milwaukee will be at 5, I don't think that's in the Pistons' best case scenario. I think the Pistons want to play either New York or Indiana in the first round. I don't think they have an answer for Giannis. I don't think they're going to be able to win the Giannis minutes. I don't think they have an answer for him. So I think the seeding is less important for the Pistons. If they can get 4th seed and then play Indiana at 5, and now they got home court advantage against Indiana in the first round, I think that would be best case scenario for me. That would be the best case scenario for the Pistons to win their first playoff series in over 15 years. Like that would be the best case scenario for me. But if falling to the 5 seed means you get Indiana, or if falling to the 6 seed means you get New York instead of getting up to the 5 and having to play Milwaukee, like I'd rather do that. I think the Pistons should rather do that. They do not. I think you should avoid Milwaukee at all costs. Just look ahead real quick and look at the Pistons' schedule. They got Washington, which should be a win again. Saturday they go against OKC, which is going to be a tough game. But after that, they got some really easy games coming up after the OKC game against on Saturday. The next 5 games after that are New Orleans, Miami, Dallas, New Orleans, and San Antonio. Those are 5 winnable games. The Pistons could go on a 5-game win streak. I'm not going to say they will, just automatically chucking up W's like that. The Pistons aren't that great yet where you should just be marking W's on the calendar before they play them. But theoretically, the Pistons are better than all those teams, and the Pistons should be able to beat each one of those teams. So if they can, this could potentially be a really, really big week and a half for the Detroit Pistons. Milwaukee, they have the hardest schedule in the NBA the rest of the year in the Eastern Conference. They have a brutal schedule the rest of the way. It's very possible that the Bucks could fall to 6, which, by the way, I think that would be a crazy playoff series between Milwaukee and New York in the first round. I don't know who would win that, honestly. And then the Pistons could get to 4, and Indiana stays at 5. I think that could very well happen. Or Indiana gets up to 4, and Detroit ends up at 5, and Milwaukee falls to 6. Milwaukee's schedule is crazy. It's really tough. So I think it's very possible they fall to 6. Either way, the Pistons have to take advantage. They beat Washington already. They need to take advantage of this again on Thursday, on 3-1-3 day. Thunder game's going to be incredibly tough. But then after that, you got 5 winnable games. You should take advantage of all those games and really try to gain some ground on these teams and try to separate yourself from them. Because right now, I mean, let's go look at the Western Conference, actually. The Pistons are set. This 4 through 6 is separated by half a game. Half a game. Is it that close in the West? I know it's close, but oh yeah, the 2 through 5 is really close. That's only 2 through 5 is separated from 2 games. Okay, so yeah, that is pretty close like that in the West too. But yeah, watch this. Watch the standings. I believe after this win tonight and the Pacers winning, I believe Indiana jumps up to 5. Detroit stays at 5, or Indiana jumps to 4. Detroit stays at 5, and Milwaukee falls to 6. Let me know how you guys think this is going to end up shaking out and what's the best matchup. How do you want it to shake out for the best case scenario for the Detroit Pistons? Let me know. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at Cougar Hill. When we come back, I want to talk to you about Ausar Thompson's struggles as of late. What's going on with him? We'll talk about that coming up. Your home should reflect your style, and with Wayfair, it's easier than ever to make that happen. Whether you're looking for a simple refresh or tackling a big home project, Wayfair has everything you need in one place. Wayfair's huge selection makes it easy to find the perfect piece no matter your space or budget. From cozy furniture and stylish decor to kitchen essentials and outdoor must-haves, Wayfair has it all, and at prices that fit your budget. I was looking for a new rug to tie my living room together, and Wayfair had so many stylish options at great prices. The site made it simple to compare styles, and my order arrived fast with free delivery. I was surprised to find everything from storage solutions to patio decor, making it my full go-to for all things home. Head over to Wayfair.com and find something that suits your style today. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair, every style, every home. Then I got to tell you guys about another one of our sponsors, TurboTax. It's tax time. You guys know how it is. It stresses me out too. But this message is brought to you by Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying, like I just said, if you're going to get any money back, and then waiting and wondering and worrying some more. Now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find you every deduction possible and file every form, every investment, with everything 100% accuracy. Also, you can get the most money back guarantees. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now, this is taxes. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live Full Service. Real-time updates only in iOS mobile app. See guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. Get an expert now on TurboTax.com. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. I'll link down below the Substack if you guys want to get some more daily Pistons coverage. I just wrote a big breakdown into Tobias Harris over on the Substack. Check it out. I think some of the numbers in there that you guys will see will blow you guys away. So if you haven't already, check it out. And also, I'll link down below if you guys want to watch Pistons games with us every single game. I'll link the playback room down below for you to join the room and come watch and hang out during the games, I should say, every Piston game. All right, so Ausar Thompson, obviously, he has made an incredibly large impact on this team since he returned. Everyone's known about it. I've talked about it nonstop, had an article written about it. We've talked about it on the podcast nonstop about the record with Ausar Thompson. One's coming in the starting lineup. We've talked about how great the starting lineup has been with Ausar Thompson. Everyone knows how good the Pistons have been now that Ausar Thompson is in the lineup and he's playing full minutes. However, over the last few games, Ausar has not looked like himself, and he has not played very well. In the game against Golden State, he only played 17 minutes. He had 5 fouls. He had 6 points and 2 of 6 shooting. Not very good. He had 4 turnovers in that 17 minutes. Did not play very well. Against Portland, had 5 points, 5 fouls again. Only 6 rebounds, 2 of 5 shooting. Shot 1 of 4 from the free throw line in that game. Not a very good game from Ausar. And then in this game against Washington, again, not a very good game from Ausar. 4 fouls in this game. 8 points on 3 of 8 shooting. What's going on? Why is he struggling? All right, well, first, there's a common denominator that you guys may have heard throughout the entirety of that, which is fouls. He's getting into foul trouble very early, consistently the last 3 games, and it's completely taken him out of his rhythm, and he can't play any type of minutes. Remember, against Utah 5 games ago, he had his 30-minute restriction lifted. In that game, he had 17 points, shot 7 of 7 from the field, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and a block. Fantastic game. Finally was able to play 30 minutes, and those are the numbers he put up. We were all excited. We talked about it on the podcast. We were all excited. Then the Clippers game, played 30 minutes, had 10 points, 6 rebounds, assist, steal, and a block. Pistons lost that game. He didn't play very well. He shot 5 of 13. Ever since then, his minute total has been 17 minutes, 20 minutes, and 20 minutes because of foul trouble. He gets the 30-minute restriction lifted, and now you still not even being able to see him play 30 minutes because he can't stay out of foul trouble. That's number one. That's the main thing I think really taking him out of his rhythm is that he's getting in foul trouble early, then he can't play as aggressive. He has to sit for longer stretches. He can't play for as long. All that stuff I think is impacting him. The other thing that I think is impacting here, the Pistons have not, how do I want to say this? Okay, basically, I'll read this real quick. This will be the best way to say it. I'm going to read to you his last 10 games assist he had in the last 10 games, okay? I'm just going to read you the totals. 4 assists, 3 assists, 6 assists, 4 assists, 4 assists, 7 assists, 4 assists, 3 assists, 5 assists, 3 assists, 5 assists. Last 3 games, or last 4 games, 1 assist, 0 assists, 2 assists, 1 assist. What that tells me, and if you're watching the games, I mean, this is just an easy way to kind of, summarize it by just saying his assist numbers. But if you watch the games, I don't feel like Ausar's really had the ball in his hands a lot at all within the half-court offense. He's mostly been just roaming the baseline. I don't know why that is. Pistons are running a lot more high pick and roll with Cade and kind of just running, Cade's getting trapped, giving it to Duren, and Ausar's kind of just roaming the baselines, kind of just dominating that area. He'll get a dump off maybe, he'll get an alley-oop from a Duren, but if not that, he's not really involved in the offense at all. I don't know why that is. For a while there, for a good month and a half, he was very involved in the offense. He was getting the ball a lot. Remember that game against Philly where he was the starting point guard, and it felt like, oh my God, the Pistons have figured out he can have ball handling. He can be the secondary creator. He can do some of this stuff. Like I have been asking to see them do for a while. And they started to do it a lot more. He had 6 assists in that game, and that's when it really started. You started to see his assists pick up, and they started using him a lot more. Gave him some pick and rolls. Started letting him have the ball a lot in transition. Started to see him drive to the basket. We talked about how aggressive he was as a slasher, how many more free throws he was drawing during this stretch as well. I mean, he had a stretch after that Philly game where he had 7, 6, 6, 5, 2, 7 free throws attempted within games. He was hyper aggressive. He had the ball a lot more in his hands. He was being trusted to run some of that backup point guard duties. He was being trusted to run some of the secondary creation stuff. And now, over the last 3 games at least, or I guess it should be 4 games now, over the last 4 games, he hasn't really gotten those opportunities at all. Now, I think some of that has to do with the fact now that Schroeder's taking up a lot of that volume. Schroeder not only is taking up a lot of the backcourt or the backup point guard volume, they're also playing Schroeder a lot with Cade now. So even when Ausar's sharing the floor with Cade, he's also sharing it now with Schroeder, who's taking up a lot of the ball handling duties. So now the ball handling duties are not being split between Cade and Ausar. They're being split between Cade and Schroeder. And now Ausar is basically being used as an off-ball man, cutting along the baseline, defense, and just running transition kind of thing. Which, if you've noticed, Ausar is closing a lot of games for the Pistons before. The last 4 games, it's been Schroeder that's been closing, and Ausar's just been subbed in for defense. Because now they don't really need, at least from what JB is saying to us by his actions, they don't really need Ausar's ball handling. They don't really want it. They got the secondary ball handling in Schroeder. Now they just want spacing around those 2 guys. And if they need defense for a possession or 2, they'll sub in and make an offense for defense sub with Ausar. Now, again, Ausar has dealt with foul trouble, so I wonder how much of that has to do with him just being in foul trouble and not being able to play as many minutes. If he wasn't in foul trouble, would we see him in for longer stretches and being given the ball more? Maybe that plays into it, but I will say for 100% certainty, he is not being given the ball like he was previously these last 4 games. It's not happening. Schroeder's playing great. Schroeder's been having his best run over the last few games. So if that's a trade-off that the Pistons are taking for this season to just, Schroeder's playing so well that, you know what, Ausar, you just won't have the ball for a lot the rest of this season. We're just going to put it in Schroeder's hands. We'll reevaluate that next year. Okay, that could be something that's happening. Again, this could be just simply because he's been in foul trouble. So they can't put the ball in his hands as much as they'd like. But even, I think Ausar has looked frustrated on the floor at times as well. Like even tonight, in the game against the Wizards, it was caught on the broadcast. JB was like having a serious discussion with Ausar, and Ausar just looked pissed. He didn't look happy. He looked frustrated. He looked annoyed. Whatever the word you want to use, JB like pulled him to the side and was having a long conversation with him. And Ausar was just looking like, like I said, either annoyed or frustrated with how things were going. And then right after that timeout where he pulled him to the side, Ausar got 3 straight ball handling reps, and he got up to 8 points. So I don't know if that was I'm not sitting here saying that's what he was mad about. We don't know. We don't know if that's what he was frustrated about, what was being talked about between him and JB. All I know is that as soon as that timeout was made and JB and him had that conversation, the immediate next 3 to 4 possessions, Ausar all of a sudden got a post-up call for him. All of a sudden he got a few driving opportunities, and he got a few lobs. Like, that happened immediately after that timeout. So it could be a coincidence. It could not be. Either way, I think it would be in the Pistons' best interest to still, I understand Schroeder's playing well, and I'm not saying Schroeder should not be given the ball. But Ausar also is a pretty big deal for this team. And again, it could very well be, I want to make this clear. It could be just because he's been in foul trouble, they haven't been able to do it. Maybe that's it. But if it's not, if the coaching staff is just strategy-wise saying we're going to move the ball to Schroeder more and Ausar would just be more of an off-ball roamer on the baseline, I don't think that would be smart long-term. I don't think that would be smart for the rest of this year. I hope that's not the case because you were really seeing some of the best basketball of Ausar's career because of how they were utilizing him now with the ball in his hand. So I really am looking forward to see how they use him the rest of the year. I want to see him stay out of foul trouble. He hasn't been playing well either. This isn't to make an excuse for him. He hasn't been playing well. He's been fouling way too much. He hasn't been finishing as much around the rim. Too many stuff at the rim has been just him tapping the ball instead of bringing it down and trying to finish. He's been just trying to tap the ball in instead of using two hands. I don't know why. The last few games, he's been doing it a little bit too often, too much. But yeah, he needs to stay out of foul trouble, but I do think the Pistons could use him better. And again, we'll see if it's really foul trouble that's causing this or if it's just a strategic change that JB has changed or has made to better use Dennis Schroeder. We'll find that out, I guess, over the next few games. But let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at @KukaHill. How do you guys feel about Ausar's struggles? Why do you think he's been struggling the last few games? Do you guys think they'll put the ball back in his hands? Let me know all that. Comment section down below or over on Twitter at KukaHill. When we come back, we've talked about this before, but we got to talk about it again, man. All-NBA third team, I think Cade's past that. I think he's going for All-NBA second team. He's been that tremendous for this team. This is a great spot for Pistons fans to be in. It's kind of crazy that they're already here, but we'll talk about why Cade deserves All-NBA second team coming up. When I found out Skims was making underwear for men, I was intrigued. I've heard so much about their quality from friends and family, so I had to give it a try. Let me tell you, it lives up to the hype. I've always had issues with underwear, fit, comfort, or just find the right style for me. Skims changed all that. Their men's line offers something for everyone, from boxer briefs to classic briefs, all designed with the perfect balance of comfort and style. Started to use Skims, like I said, and I'm absolutely hooked. These are perfect for my lifestyle every single day. They move with me, never lose their shape, and stay in place all day. Whether I'm working out or just running errands, they're the most comfortable and reliable underwear I've ever owned. Plus, the lightweight material feels amazing, almost like you're wearing nothing at all. Shop Skims Men's at skims.com/LockedOnNBA and Skims stores. Let them know that we sent you after you place your order, select podcast in the survey, and select our show in the drop-down menu that follows. Again, at skims.com/LockedOnNBA or at Skims stores. So I want to thank you guys again for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. We are free and available on all your podcast platforms. If you haven't already, head to the YouTube channel at Locked On Pistons. Hit that subscribe button or leave us a 5-star review on whatever podcast platform you're listening to this on. That's another great way to support the podcast. Again, I'll link the Substack and the playback down below if you guys want to check out all that stuff. It's been a lot of fun in the playback. I really enjoyed producing the content over the Substack. A lot of support over there if you guys haven't checked it out. I think you guys would really like it. But Cade Cunningham, let's get to him, man. You know what's crazy, man? What's really crazy is that walking away from this Washington game, not Houston, this Washington game, I felt like watching the game, I felt like Cade didn't have the best game. By the way, I'm looking at the standings right now. The Pistons, Pacers, and Bucks are in a 3-way tie right now for 4th seed. And then due to tiebreakers, the Pistons are 6th, Pacers are 5th, and the Bucks still have the 4th seed. But they are all in a 3-way tie right now. So that's the update. They finally updated the standings. They're in a 3-way tie. Tiebreakers have the Pistons at 6th, Pacers at 5th, and Milwaukee at 4. So we'll see how that shakes up. But also the Pistons, I believe, have played one extra game than both of them. So two games, actually. Yeah, the Pistons have played 2 more games than them, so that plays a part in it as well. But we'll see how that shakes out. But yeah, they're at a three-way tie right now. Anyways, watching this game against Washington, I just wanted to give that update to you guys. I did not feel like Cade was having the best game. I didn't think he was playing bad, but I didn't think Cade was having the most fantastic, spectacular game. And then after the game, you just look at the box score and you see he has 27 points, 10 assists, 8 rebounds, and just 3 turnovers, a steal. And he shot 11 to 23 from the field. Not the most efficient game, but not too inefficient or anything. That's what a Cade stat line looks like nowadays. You can watch the game and you feel like, well, yeah, that wasn't his best game so far. That wasn't a superstar performance. And then you look at the box score and a 20-point win, by the way. He has 27, 10, and 8. Like, it feels like that's just an everyday occurrence now for Cade. It feels like that is just a normal, non-great game for Cade Cunningham, which is absolutely crazy that this is where we've arrived. It's crazy that this is where already, look, people, we were all, I think a lot of people were high on Cade before the year. I was extremely high on Cade before the year. Everyone knows how much I've loved Cade, his game, how I feel about his ceiling, how I feel about where he can reach in the NBA. Everyone knows where I stand with that before the year. And I did think he would have a big year this year. I fully believed he could have a big year this year. And despite me believing it, seeing it actually happen is still, I don't want to say shocking. It's kind of just like you're in awe watching it because it's actually happening. Like, this is no longer, Cade's no longer just like I feel like we were in arguments with players that aren't of Cade's status anymore, and it's kind of just universally recognized now by everybody. Like, Cade was in Trae Young, like, is he better than Trae? Is he better than Paolo? Like, I think those are the conversations people were having, like, before the year, and people were swinging Trae, people were swinging Paolo. I feel like now at this point in the year, everyone would just pick Cade. And it's kind of just universally accepted now that Cade's been playing like a top 10 to 12-ish player, maybe even higher this year, and that he's going to be an All-NBA member. And Bill Simmons on his podcast has Cade second over Anthony Edwards. And again, it just feels like this is just over, universally recognized, like, yeah, Cade's pretty awesome now, is what it is. Again, I expected him to be great, but seeing it actually play out now and like in real life, you're just kind of in awe. You're just like, man, this is actually happening. This is actually going on. Cade's actually like arrived. He's actually living up right before our eyes to being the number 1 overall pick. And every single night, he's performing like one of the best players in the entire NBA. Like, look at his numbers since the change of the new year. This is a 32-game sample. Since the change of the new year, he is averaging 27 points, 8.9 assists, 5.5 rebounds, 1.2 steals. He's shooting 36% from deep, nearly 90% from the free throw line on 5.7 attempts, and nearly 48% from the field. He is hovering around a 58 true shooting percentage since the change of the new year. The one part of Cade's game that has been, held him back, that he has to improve on, has been his efficiency. And since the change of the new year, he is above league average efficiency on incredibly high volume and incredibly high usage. This is a superstar. These are superstar numbers. Not all-star, not just star. These are superstar numbers on this type of usage and this type of volume. Also, with the winning that's happening, he's not only just putting up crazy numbers, he's not just being above league average efficiency on top of the league volume and usage. He's also leading the Pistons to the top 6 most wins since the change of the new year. He has them fighting for home court advantage in the playoffs. This is superstar stuff. Superstar. And again, it's kind of gotten to a place, and this isn't a bad thing, but it's kind of gotten to the place where it's just like, oh yeah, that's Cade. That's what he does. That's just who he is. That's Cade Cunningham. And it's just, when you think back to last year, when you think back to the conversations happening in the offseason, when you think back to that, you just kind of like try to put yourself in that time again. And then looking at where you're at now, you're just kind of like in awe. Like I said, you're just like, no way this is actually happening. No way we're actually here finally. And in such a short amount of time after such a depressing time for the Pistons. Like, these are insane numbers. I remember beginning of the year, the first 10-ish games of the year, I remember conversations where after the Pistons started off a little slow, I remember coming on the podcast have conversations of, people were asking me, will Cade ever be like a 25-point per game scorer? Is that even in his game? I think he really will just be a 22-game scorer. He needs another guy to be his Batman. He can't be. And then ever since Jaden Ivey went down, he's averaging 27 a game. He's averaging 27 a game on above league average efficiency, insane volume, insane usage, leading to wins, creating for his teammates, while also giving it his effort on defensively. I mean, this is a superstar, man. Cade has been flat out a superstar. I think he's going to be All-NBA second team. I think he's had a better season than Ant. I think he's had a better season, obviously, than Trey and all these other guys in the East. I think he's had a better season than Hallie. I think he's been better than Dame this year. I think you could have an argument about, to be honest, bro, I'm going to be flat out, I'm going to be real. This player has more wins than the Pistons, but to be honest, I think Cade's been better than Brunson this year. I'll say it. I think he's just been a better player than Brunson. Brunson has a way better team. They have 4 more wins, so if he gets it, I get it, whatever. But I think he's just been better than Brunson this year. And that's just the East. Go to the West, he's been better than Steph this year. Like this year, he's been better than Steph. He's been better than anyone in the Rockies. He's been better than Ja on the Grizzlies. Has he been better than Luka this year? Luka's been hurt all year. I think so. He's been better than Jamal Murray, obviously. He's been better than J-Dub. Like I said, he's been better than Ant. He's been better than James Harden. Who's the guy? He's been better than Book. Who's his argument over him? Is it really just SGA, Mitchell? Who else? Who else has a clear-cut argument at guard? I might be missing somebody. You guys will probably comment it. But who else at guard just has a clear-cut argument over him? Mitchell, I give it to him, 55 wins. Mitchell, SGA. Who else? I think he's been better than Jaylen Brown. I don't think that's close. I think he's been better than Jaylen Brown. I don't see it. Who else? I don't see it. So I think what's going to happen is, if I had my vote, I think Mitchell and SGA obviously will get first team. I got Cade second team. If you want to give second team to Cade and Brunson, I'll take it. But I think he's been flat out better than Anthony Edwards this year. He's leading the team to his team's higher in the conference. They have the exact same record. I think Cade's been better than Ant. You could probably have an argument for either or, but they're in the same tier. And I don't think people would have thought that last year. I don't think people thought a year later you'd be saying Cade and Ant are in the same tier. I don't think anyone would be saying that to you that's outside of Detroit. So it's crazy that we're here, and I just wanted to give even more props to Cade, man, because it's crazy that this is just – I swear to God, I watched this Washington game. I didn't feel like he was having like this spectacular game. I thought he was just, oh, yeah, Cade's been fine. And then after the game, he has a near triple-double on 27 points on just 23 shots. Like, is what it is. Is what it is. Let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at @KukaHill. How do you guys feel Cade Cunningham has played this year? Do you guys think he's going to be an All-NBA second-team guy this year? If not, if so, whichever side you land on, who do you have ahead of him on the All-NBA teams? Let me know in the comment section down below or over on Twitter at @KukaHill. That's all I've got for you guys today. Thank you guys for making Locked On Pistons your first listen of every single day. Free and available on all your podcast platforms. Hit that subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Leave us a 5-star review, whatever podcast platform you're listening to us on. And until next time, I'll see you guys later. Stay safe out there. Peace out.